Okay, I'm going to talk today a little bit about Rosh Hashanah, maybe a different outlook that we are used to. The Jewish calendar is not just another calendar that counts months, days, in order to just move on and so on and so forth. There is great wisdom in that. And that calendar is based on what the Torah had told us and based on what early sages had put in place, for example, in order for certain things to happen, always within the specific time of the year. For example, if you take the Muslim calendar, which is completely lunar, so sometimes every 12 years Ramadan falls in a different season. You know, it slowly moves out like this. And, you know, the Gregorian is like, you know, just whatever, they put something together. But the Jewish calendar has to do with a spiritual aspect as well. According to the Jewish calendar, every Chag, every holiday, is a different gate in that particular time that allows us to enter a different dimension or a higher dimension or a different dimension of spiritual energy. A spiritual realm. And from that we could draw bracha or draw some blessings or whatever it is, and by doing so making our reality better. Rosh Hashanah in the Jewish tradition is also called Yom HaDin, the Day of Judgment. Now, Din, when we're talking about internal stuff, we're talking about spiritual stuff or internal stuff, really means congestion, closing, something concealing, some delay, not flowing well, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Sometimes it's good to be slow and not so easygoing. In other words, as Chazal tells us, "Siag lechochma shtika." Sometimes you should not be saying everything. And you know, you show a little bit of wisdom if you don't say much, right? Sometimes it's the other way around. You bring the din about, and things don't flow your way, and everything that you go gets all messed up. The negative din, it really has to do with interruption and blockage and so on. And according to the Kabbalah, actions, words, and even thoughts that are negative create what we call negative angels or energies that really become our own, how should we call it, district attorneys, you know, the one who bring us to judgment all the time and really prevents from good, really, thank you, to fill our life. In other words, when we even think, now you have to understand that in the world of even quantum physics, a thought, put in appropriately, can jump beyond space and time. So when I'm even thinking bad, I could create, needless to say, action or word, I can create a bad reality. And so therefore, even if I didn't, I was thinking something bad about someone in my own, under the bed, I created a bad reality in this world. I bring this about. And you need to understand, that's why you should not think badly about people. There is a concept in Judaism that's called Have kol adam lekav zchut. Have dan kol adam lekav zchut. Judge any person in favor. So let's say, for example, I'm let's say looking at Idan. I'm saying, Idan doesn't pay attention to me. Why? He doesn't like me, and so on and so forth. He's a bad person. God forbid. Idan is a great person, but by saying that, I created now a certain channel of bad energy. Instead of saying, he's usually a good person, maybe something is bothering him. Maybe something is going on with his life. Let me reach out to him and say, Idan, what's going on, man? What's happening? And so on and so forth. That's how I'm making it good. But when I'm starting to generate bad thoughts, I'm basically creating bad sauce in which I'm cooking myself in. And together with that, everybody around me. And we need to remember, we need to understand that. So, and a positive din comes to express itself, for example, by reaching a certain spiritual awareness or state of spiritual awareness that for us is, as you know, is to, as we said, to close or to delay or to block negative thoughts, negative actions. By the way, this shiur is first of all dedicated Leilu Nishmat Batsheva Bat Zehava. רוח השם תנחנה בגן עדן בגן יותר מנוחתה וכן יהי רצון ונאמר אמן. Also, להבדיל לרפואה שלמה, או חיים ישראל הלוי בן בתיה, יהונתן דוד בן שרה ומזל בת לאה. הקדוש ברוך הוא ששלח להם רפואה שלמה בכל איבריהם ובכל גופם ובכל נשמתם ובכל נפשם, וכן יהי רצון ונאמר אמן. Now, when you're creating a positive spiritual awareness, you by also creating a situation where you are dismantling selfishness. You're not thinking about yourself so much. You're always thinking about others. You are becoming more sensitive and turning your lack of sensitivity to a positive energy by becoming more sensitive, more accepting, more, and so on. So the power of the din is not necessarily bad, because we need to understand that the power of the din actually helps us become better, to improve ourselves, and to move on from one place to another. Now, we all know the story, which you're going to read it soon, within a few weeks, about the story of the 6 days of creation. The Torah tells us that the world was created during 6 days, and 6 different processes of change that were put in, the difference of changing or transforming lightness from darkness, and so on and so forth. And on the 6 days, Adam Rishon, Adam, was created, and right before Shabbat, he made a sin and he was kicked out of the Garden of Eden. According to Kabbalah, the concept of what we call Adam Rishon, first man, really represents a state of completion, of wholeness, of unity, of all the souls that are in this world put together. Not only Jews, by the way, also non-Jews. Now, since he sinned, that neshama was divided into fragments all over the world, and those, what we call neshamot, souls of the people, and the connection between them had become disconnected. It simply broke apart. Now, in each one of us, a segment of that neshama lays inside of us. Now, why we need to be hastened in fixing the world to become better? Because guess what? The more people are, the more divisions there are, the harder it is to accomplish the job. So we need to really roll our sleeves and jump into the mud and do the tikkun. So therefore our job is, to the best of our abilities, is really to unify all these neshamot to one neshama. In other words, we should be core of condensation in which things will come around us, not a force of separation. We need to gather things around us. And that is very true, not only for us breaking apart people, but also breaking ourselves from the source of life. Now, when we do that, then we could fix the chet, the sin of Adam HaRishon, and return to the state of Garden of Eden. Now, the time between Rosh Hashanah really reminds us that we really need to get going. We really need to start to fix our neshama, that in order to enable them to come back to its original state, which is the state of unification, not separation. So what comes out from that Rosh Hashanah in a way is a window in time for a period of time, which we call it Yomach Arichta, one single day that is actually 2 days, and that window gives us an opportunity to really fix all the negative things that we did through the past year, throughout the past year. So it's a tremendous opportunity. So if you come to think about it, all of a sudden you say, 1 second, so Rosh Hashanah is not about my giving my shopping list. Oh, I want to do this, I want to get married, I want to make money, I want to retire early, I want to do this, it's not about that at all. It's not a shopping list. This is not, Santa Claus under what do you call it? What do you call this thing? The tree, giving sacks full of gifts, or chuck full of nuts, or whatever it is. This is all about reaching a higher spiritual level of understanding what are we doing here. Now, for that we have the Aseret Yemei Tshuva, the 10 days of Tshuva. So a person that starts his spiritual, call it tune-up, really would reveal that during this 10 days of Tshuva, that really represents 10 different spiritual states. Remember, we talked about 6 different stages of transformation in the 6 days of creation. Here, on the 10 days of Tshuva, between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, there are 10 different spiritual states in which we need to go through to basically fix. And the gap between your state right now, or the state that you should be, or to the state in which your neshama fell from, right? This really, those things represent. That's why some people take upon themselves, those who, of course, everybody has to eat Chalav Israel. But those who don't keep Pat Israel or things like this, really take it upon themselves to do more, just in a way to elevate themselves through the actions to a higher level. So if he has this awareness, so during the 10 days of Tshuva, you really are fixing up the 10 sferot in which your own neshama is being constructed from. And when you understand the big gap between where you should be and where you are right now, in other words, last year you were here, and at the end of the year you're somewhere down here, you have a whole list of things you should not have done. So once you understand that gap, you need to ask for the kochot, for the powers, to allow you, to enable you to do this fix-up, and you understand that you need an atonement. And that is, in spirituality, that's called Yom Kippurim, the Day of Atonement. And this we need to really get a hold of those concepts, because it's not something that you were told, I'm sure, before. Everybody tells you, blow the shofar, which has, for example, the name shofar comes mishum leshaper, to make things better, right? Or the word slicha, the shor slicha. How much is samech? 60. Lamed?
30, 90.
90.
And then 98.
98 also, shorish tzach, pure. Letzachzeach is to shine. So when you're asking for forgiveness, now I don't care how, listen, everybody should have a certain level of ego not to become a doormat. But don't let your ego go out of control. Everybody needs to ask forgiveness. If you don't ask for forgiveness, you're skipping an opportunity to really cleanse your soul. Letzachzeach is to shine, to cleanse. Tzach means clear. So you are stubborn and arrogant and full of whatever. You're not going to come to ask for forgiveness. That's a nice haircut. You're not going to come and ask for forgiveness. Guess what? You're not going to be able to cleanse yourself. You're not going to be able to clean yourself up. You miss an opportunity, and next year is going to be even further down. Because you're not starting on that level of a jump that would allow you to jump to the next level to be able to reach higher level next year. A year comes in, and the only thing is, here we come again, we say, please forgive us, please give us, please do this, let's lower the shofar, and we're all in the same place. The only thing is, if you look at this, we are further down than we were last year. Because we didn't get older, we don't have the powers, and we get deeper in the mud in which we create to ourselves. So now, from Rosh Hashanah till Simchat Torah, right, there's also a certain period of time. And that period of time is a certain series of spiritual situation that a person goes through from Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur, right? The person reveals what he needs to fix. In Yom Kippurim, he's asking for the power, for the koach, for the abilities to fix what he knows he needs to fix. And in Sukkot, he receives all this kochot, and then he goes to the transformation. And then, of course, in Simchat Torah, he's finishing, supposedly, with joy, the melacha of what is called ichud, unification of the self that he has within himself of Adam HaRishon. And when we all dance together around the Torah, we show that we are all united around something that is great, that is Torah Hashem. That's why a person that leaves Torah, a person that leaves Yeshiva, cuts himself from the branch that he's actually sitting on. And you need to really internalize and understand that. You're not going to make it. Yeah, you're going to make it. You can live to 100 years, but your life is going to be one miserable life. It's not going to reach the spiritual level in which you could reach. Why? Mainly because you have a big ego. Mainly because you have a big ego. And we need to understand that. Now, if we're going to talk about, we always talk about sferot in Kabbalah and so on and so forth. Sfera is not only to count, but sapir. Sapir means a sapphire. Sometimes sapphire is white, it's not necessarily blue. And that is a light that comes shining and it sparkles all over. So the whole structure of the neshama, there are 10 sferot. There is Keter, Chochmah, Binah, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, Umalchut. Those 10 sferot that we counted really are the 10 different characteristics of your neshama, of your soul. Through them, you could really see the light that comes above. So if a certain midah, you see that you have a certain midah, you should learn what is this midah corresponding with, and you should fix it. Now, if you remember, Keter and Malchut are in one line. In the middle you have Tiferet. Right? Now, if you did not, for example, want to make the Torah, or those who represent the Torah, be mitpaer, glorify them, ultimately you're going to pogem midat Keter. And Keter means that's where everything comes down to, all the shefa, all the abundance comes. You're going to tell me, yeah, I've seen very wicked people, they have a lot. What they have comes from an impure source. From a source that you don't want to tap into. Because it's greater than your ability to deal with, needless to say, to fix. So basically you're dooming your life to a spiritual death. No other way than that. Now we were talking about neshama, right? So let's talk a little bit about neshama. Every neshama is a part of this great puzzle that is called the overall neshama klali, the overall neshama, or as we said before, the neshama of Adam HaRishon, the original neshama. And only when a person opens his heart up, or his neshama up, to be able to connect to all the other parts of the puzzle, and only through this connection you could fulfill your purpose in the great and overall picture, only then you will be able to feel that light that comes from above and really see the bracha in everything that is in you. What does it mean? When I am sitting in isolation, when I'm removing that's why we say, never remove yourself from the cloud. Never remove yourself from that. Why? Because when I'm doing so, I'm not going to be able to connect to him. I'm not going to be able to connect to him. And in a way, I'm not saying the bracha. I'm going to say the Torah is all nonsense. All the Rabbanim is nonsense. Everything is nonsense. Why? It's very simple. I forgot to turn on the light. I forgot to do ve'afta lerecha kamocha. It's very nice what everybody says, but when you tell somebody that you should be respected for those who bring you lechaya olam haba, greater than those who brought you l'olam hazeh, you say yes, 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 but it's the first chance you have it out. And you forget, you're cutting yourself mimekor chaim, mimekor habrachot, from the source of all the blessings. When you can connect, when you hold a grudge, that's why you're not supposed to hold a grudge. When you hold a grudge to your friend, guess what? You're not mekayim ve'afta l'recha kamocha. You miss an opportunity to connect to Kol Hashanah. You're not going to be able to do so. You'll see your tefillah is going to be all messed up. Of course, you can never hold a grudge to your dad, and you can never hold a grudge to your Rebbe, because you can never repay them for what they have done for you, ever. How can you repay your dad? How can you repay your Rebbe that took you out from the streets and then made you into a human being, a person? You're connecting yourself from the source. You're basically connecting yourself from Am Yisrael. That's terrible. So when we able to, and that's why we say, forgive me. I'm expecting, and so on and so forth. When you say, I forgive you, it's not only he is able to connect to the light source of the neshama. You yourself. So you always need to ask for slicha. You always need to ask for mechila, especially before Rosh Hashanah. Which brings us together to another form or another ritual that we do in Rosh Hashanah, which is the ceremony that we do of Hatarat Nedarim, removing the vows, which the minhag is. By the way, please try to come tomorrow night as well, because tomorrow night we'll try to do Hatarat Nedarim to everybody. So please make sure to be here. Also you, Mr. Zay. Otherwise you have to get up in the morning and you have to go to work, and now you'll see why Hatarat Nedarim is important. So, according to the Kabbalah, neder, a vow that a person made and does not fulfill it, does not do it, could really hold or prevent your spiritual growth and really create a blockage to the connection of your neshama with the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That unfulfilled promise that you made. So the ceremony of Hatarat Nedarim is supposed to really release us from those bondage that we had, from those handcuffs and those ropes that really tie us down. So basically what we were going about today, we were going through all these things to make you free and understand what Rosh Hashanah is really all about from a Kabbalistic point of view. So the Aleph B'Tishrei, Rosh Hashanah, really represents the 6th day of creation in which mankind was created. Even though we say Chafhei Be'elul, and Jewish holidays, as we said, they're not only commemorations days for this or that, for events that happened in the past, but rather that their importance is even greater, way above what happened in the past. It actually has to do with what we are doing today. That's why in Rosh Hashanah, and any Shana, we understand, according to Kabbalah, said the whole process of creating man and mankind and creating the world, it's a cycle that keeps going over and over and over again. It's not just another time that we are here. It's another tremendous chance for us, and we need to take advantage of that. Now, during this Chag, we could really in a way, replace our corrupted hard disk or a hard drive. They got, when you use a computer, sometimes your hard drive gets all corrupted to the point that you can take the computer and toss it away. But what, I'm sorry?
You have to defragment it.
Sometimes a defragmented does not work. Believe me. It happened to me a few times, both on a regular computer and on a fruit computer.
Macintosh?
On a fruit computer. On a Fuji computer. Fuji, yeah. Or, yeah, whatever. Grand Delicious. Sometimes it happened to the point that there was, even in the store, they told me, listen, there's nothing to do. It's corrupt beyond... I do believe it's some kind of like a scheme that they do after so many hours and they just trash it away with the upgrades that they make you do. But yeah, it's like a vaccine, like, okay, we're going to give it to you so you would die, right? So, everything is working fine. Like for argument's sake, I cannot get for crying out loud a computer with a CD or DVD player. So if I have a DVD that I want to watch my kids, I cannot do that. Why did they take it out? I want a DVD in my computer. Ma, if I want to watch an Akira Kurosawa movie, I cannot do it. You know Akira Kurosawa? Anybody know? You should watch it. A really good guy. Anyway. So it gives us a chance to really change the whole entire hard disk, a hard drive that is in our hearts and in our heads, and to really start new, to start fresh. And therefore, by doing so, we could, in a way, create a new cycle, create a new creation. And that new creation will be ourselves. And according to the Jewish count, right? Rosh Hashanah is not really New Year's. If you think about it, the Torah says B'chodesh HaShvi'i. So Chodesh HaShvi'i, the first month is really Nisan. So why is Rosh Hashanah in the middle of the year? It's kind of crazy. Of course, we have different types of Rosh Hashanah, right? We have Rosh Hashanah for the Ilanot is Tu B'Shvat, Rosh Hashanah for kings is in Nisan, for the Chodashim, and so on and so forth. Then we have Rosh Hashanah here. But what's really in that? So we know that Tishrei really means, it really is the 7th month. And that's why Rosh Hashanah happens in the Chodesh HaShvi'i by Echad LaChodesh. The Kabbalah teaches us, because the difference between Rosh Hashanah and other holidays, the Rosh Hashanah is not just a holiday for the Jews. It's holidays for all mankind and all basically creatures, called Ba'ei Olam, anybody is in the world. So therefore, if you look at this, Tishrei, which is the 7th month, really is the Shabbat of all the months. And since it's the Shabbat of all the months, that's why you need to work very hard on Elul, because it says, Mi shelo tarach be'erev Shabbat lo yochal b'Shabbat. You didn't work hard on Erev Shabbat, you're not going to eat. So during the month of Elul, you got to be really working hard, not like those losers that in Chodesh Elul, for whatever reason, go haywire, they leave Yeshiva, they leave learning, they start talking Lashon Hara, they go off the derech, they go on vacations, they go to places, they do things that Hashem Yerachem. Why? Because it's the summer, it's Chodesh Elul. On the contrary, Chodesh Elul, that's your Erev Shabbat. You need to work hard. You need to work on your midot. Don't develop an ego on Chodesh Elul. Work on yourself. Then comes the Shabbat, and the Shabbat, as we know, we say Me'en Ha'olam Haba. So the same thing, Chodesh Tishrei allows us to create a new world. Of course, if we are willing to do it. Now, don't tell me we don't know, because I just told you how to do it. But if we know how to do it, that's why we also need to remember that the astrological sign, and not for nothing, of Chodesh Tishrei is really the scales, right? Libra. And as a Libra, you really need to understand that the choice is your choice. Now, we don't care what your mommy did, what your neighbor did, what your daddy did, what your girlfriend did, what your Rebbe did, what your nurse did, what UPS guy did. We don't care. We need to, we need to understand that sometimes, that right now the choice is on us, and to make this choice as follows: to be davek b'kadosh baruch Hu, to attach yourself to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, or not. Now, if you say, I want to be davek b'kadosh baruch Hu, fulfill what Chachamim told you, idabek b'chachamim, u'be'ochzei Torah, and so on and so forth. You have to attach yourself to, and that's why it says, aseh lecharav. But when you said yourself, that's it, I'm done, I'm out of here, you are cutting yourself out. You're destining yourself to almost like a spiritual karet. How are you going to come at Rosh Hashanah like that? That's why you need to, you need to understand that during this month, you need to make the decision. Am I going to change? Or I'm not going to change? I'm going to start unifying things together, or I'm going to continue with the separation process that I'm at. And many times when a person goes down, he makes an effort to bring other people with him. Because he doesn't want to be the only idiot hanging out in the middle of the street. So he's going to bring other people with him. And that's creating the peirud. That's why the key for a davening in a congregation of Rosh Hashanah, Rabotai, is not necessarily how beautiful your chazan davens, how much money did he make for the year, or how much money the shul made for the year, but rather how unified you prayed together. How close you felt to the guy next to you, to the guy on the other side of you, and so on and so forth. How strong were you feeling to connect yourself to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? You need to be very careful, like you're measuring it in a scale with milligrams. Any tip of the scale could be disastrous for you. So you need to calculate your moves very, very carefully. If the month of Elul was a Virgo, Betula, needs to be innocent. In other words, you need to work hard. Because if you are full of yourself, you're not going to have this innocence of this virgin innocence of really working what you need to be working. You're not going to have it. So you need to go from there into the level of scale of Libra. And don't forget, August is a lion, because you think you're a big shot. I'm a lion! So okay, leave your lion to the side. Now you're going to become a small little vessel virgin, because you're going to measure. And Keshem shemoded, kach modedim lo. As much as you made the right decision to connect yourself to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, this is how you're going to be measured. Midah keneged midah. Measure per measure. So I wish on everybody to have a k'tiva v'chatima tova. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu will receive all התפילות בשמחה ובאהבה, in unison, ונראה בביאת משיח וצדקנו במהרה בימינו, אמן.
אמן. חזק וברוך.